Yes, here we are on Sunday, 13th February, 2022 in the Chennai Storytelling Festival. And we are now going to have a workshop titled Exploring the Many Gods in Hinduism. So Gayatri Kashyap and Lavanya Prasad, please guide us through this workshop. Thank you very, very much. This workshop is in memory of Mr. Pandya Rajan, who was a member of our storytelling community and passed away so suddenly just a couple months ago, but he was helping to plan this workshop. So this is the workshop in memory of him. Go ahead, Lavanya and Gayatri, it's all yours.
Yes, we're just waiting for Debjani. Has she joined in?
She has not joined. I spoke with her on the telephone a few moments ago. She said she is joining. Right. I suggest just carry on.
Right. So a very, very warm welcome to you all. So if you could please spotlight me, Eric.
Yes.
You could spotlight the three of us. It's okay.
Here's Debjani.
Great. You could spotlight her also. Yes. So, hello, Debjani. Good morning. We can't hear you. Yes, sure.
Debjani, you have to turn your microphone on.
Can you hear me now? Thank you.
All right. So, a very, very warm welcome to everyone who has come here. Like Eric said, this workshop is in memory of our dear friend, Mr. Pandi Rajan, whose vision was to do a workshop with respect to Hinduism. Well, Hinduism is a very, very vast ocean. And the three of us, um, you know, because he wanted to do this, and very sadly he left us and he's no more with us, but in memory we thought we should be able to take this forward. So this is our humble attempt to uh, show you uh, what is Hinduism and why there are many gods in Hinduism. In this, we are hoping that you would reflect and rejuvenate in the metaphors and, connect with your inner self. So that is the entire idea of this workshop. Thank you.
So, Vanakkam, good morning, all of you. Let us begin this workshop by chanting the Om. So, Om is a mantra which is chanted alone or is chanted before or after a mantra. So, what does this Om signify? Om signifies three components. The A, which is a sound which emanates from your belly. It represents Brahma or the god of creation. So, U is a sound which emanates from your chest. It represents Vishnu or the god of sustenance. And is a sound which emanates from your throat. This represents Maheshwara or the god of destruction. So what is this benefit of chanting this Om? Om is a sound of very high frequency. They have scientifically proven that Om has a frequency of 852 hertz. It relaxes your nervous system, your heart, and it also brings all the goodness into your life. So we are going to chant the Om 7 times. I want all of you to have the Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra means bring your thumb and index finger together. This improves your concentration. And now let us start chanting the Om from the belly 7 times. So let's all close your eyes and start the chant. I want all of you to loudly tell the Om. The sound should come from your belly button and then finally end in your throat. So let's all chant it together by opening our mouths. We all know that in the universe, everything is made up of matter and energy. The scientific law says energy can neither be created or destroyed. And Om represents this energy. And where is this energy in the body? It is present between your 2 eyebrows. That is why we represent it by placing the tilak, the chantan, which represents the Om or the soul. And what is the nature of the soul? Its nature is peace. So we say Om Shanti. Can you all unmute yourself and say Om Shanti once, which says, I am a peaceful being.
Om
Shanti.
Shanti.
So next we'll come to action. Before we perform any action, we keep a sankalp or a good thought that this action should go on well. Then we invoke Ganesha, who is the god and remover of obstacles. Now I invite Lavanya for the invocation song.
బొమ్మ బొమ్మ తాతయ్య తయ్య నక దిన భజం కరే బొమ్మ బొమ్మ తాతయ్య తయ్య నక దిన భజం కరే ఉదని దనాద్ర దిమి దితోం దితోం తోం తై తై గణపతి నాం సదాం ఉదని దనాద్ర దిమి దితోం దితోం తోం తై తై గణపతి నాం సదాం దిమ్మికిట దిత్తి తాగడ తాగడ తళక బోడుదాం ఉదని దనాద్ర దిమి దితోం దితోం తోం తై తై గణపతి నాం సదాం తై తై గణపతి నాం సదాం తై తై గణపతి నాం సదాం.
So Lavanya, your bhajan reminded me of my childhood days. Like I used to observe how my aunt, my grandmom, they used to sing bhajans and shlokas in the puja room while worshipping the gods and goddesses, especially during the aartis. And then I used to also sing and hum at least after them. And I started wondering which god or which goddess should I pray to. So I started asking them, but didn't get any satisfactory answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started following their footsteps, like whomever they used to worship, I used to worship too. So at that stage, I just knew that I'm a Hindu and I should go to temple in order to worship my gods and goddesses.
Temple. That is bringing me some memories. When I was a little girl, Debjani, I used to go to my grandfather's house. My grandfather and my uncles were Dvivedis, meaning they have learnt two Vedas, which are considered to be the very crux of Hinduism. And every day there used to be this Veda chanting, that is hymns chanting in the house. It used to be so melodious to the ears. But I just didn't understand anything of what they said. I used to go to my grandfather and I asked him, it's very nice. When I listen to it, it is like music. But what does this mean? Can you tell me? And my grandfather would just laugh and he'll say, I'll tell you in the evening when I take you to the temple. And then he'll take me to the temple right beside our house, and he would stop me in different places where we had different gods kept. And then he would stay in one place, he would narrate a story, and then he will sing a hymn that he had sung in the morning. And he connected the two beautifully. That was amazing for me.
Yeah, so temple brought that clarity to you, right?
Right.
For me, what happened, very interesting. When I was in, say, third or fourth grade, this Ramayana, the famous epic of India, that began to be telecasted during every weekend.
Correct.
And I tell you, the entire nation would come to a grinding halt. Like
Right.
all eyes used to be glued to television set. And especially this grannies in and around my house, I used to see them sitting before the television set with that Rudraksha mala, that garland made of the holy beads, and you'd count them, and, oh, Rama, 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 Rama. So from that, I started understanding that Rama is an avatar of Vishnu, and that Vishnu has many other avatars, and the story, wow, the magnificent characters, the colorful stories. Later on, Mahabharata, another very popular epic, that became in television. And from that, I got to know about the life of Krishna, the popular god of India, Krishna.
Yeah, Devjani, when you said about Krishna, I remember how we used to celebrate the birthday of little Krishna in our home. My mom used to draw those little feet of Krishna in kolamavu or rice flour. And then my granny used to make those seed eyes or vadai, very delicious. I used to enjoy them. And then we used to offer this curd, milk, butter to little Krishna. And then came Shivratri. Shivratri was celebrated in midnight, and my granny used to take me to the temple. And then we used to observe this Abhishek. Frankly telling, I sometimes dozed off in the temple. And then came Navratri. Navratri, I remember those lovely pavadais or the silk skirts I used to wear and go with my mom to my relative's house or my neighbor's house. And then they would say, please sing a song. And then I would start off, whether I could sing or not, I would just start singing with all my heart. And finally, they rewarded me with a sundal. And they also gave me a small basket. The basket, they put little bangles, fruits, flowers, and beautiful items. I really enjoyed it. And it was so colorful. Every home had an array of dolls. Wow. If I remember Navaratri, it means color to me.
Very true. So I understand this color, this gorgeous, vibrant things. But for me, somehow these were not falling in place, I tell you. So I was wondering, what is this essence of Hinduism? How do I know that? So I asked my father, and he said it sternly. For that, you have to read Upanishad. This is a very nice way to know. So I picked up his book of Upanishad and tried to read it. I tell you, just all abstract words, so difficult. Atman, Brahman, transcendental reality, these, that. I got even more confused. So difficult.
Very true. I know. The holy scriptures that was given to us very, very long time ago, the Vedas and the Upanishads, they like what you said, Debjani, were only abstract words. I think our ancestors were very, very clever that way. That is why they converted all these abstract things that was there in the Vedas and the Upanishads to beautiful and colorful stories. Huh? And
Mhm.
all these stories were made the Puranas, the Upapuranas, and the epics that you mentioned, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Correct? And
Right.
just tell me, what better way to connect to someone using the simplest and the most powerful tool? Stories. Don't you agree? Huh?
Very much true. I don't even remember one chemistry equation I studied or the algebraic formulas I studied when I was a child. But the stories my grandparents told, I remember them all. The same applies to Upanishad. When they handed me a book, I could not understand Sanskrit at all. I just tried and then I would get frustrated just going through the few pages. But the stories, wonderful. I remember all the stories irrespective of whatever language they are in. Just stories just attract me.
Hmm. So slowly, you see, things started falling in place for me. So Hindu literature or Hindu scriptures can be divided into two categories. The first is the Shruti text. Shruti means it comes from the Sanskrit word Shrutva, which means that have been heard. So our great ancient sages in their deep state of contemplation heard these abstract verses, which have been captured in these texts like Vedas, Upanishads, all these texts, okay? Yes, and this text are the primary, the authoritative texts. Next comes Smriti, Smriti, which have been remembered. So for the common people to understand, the Shruti texts have been nicely simplified in the form of stories, these colorful, vibrant stories. Yes. And it becomes so easy for us to connect with the stories because we can find so many parallels with the metaphors embedded in the stories. How beautiful, isn't it?
Very true. This is why today we have picked up some stories from the scriptures, which will help us to reflect on our inner self and connect with that Shakti, which is going to guide us from outside and also help us to rejuvenate. So I will invite Debjani to tell us the first story.
Before I start my story, I know many of you and most of you know this, but still, just in case few of you are not aware of this basic concepts of Hinduism, let me just give you a brief introduction. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you with a long preamble, you see, okay? Because storytellers, if you give them opportunity, they'll keep blah, 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 blah. But I'll keep it very short. So Hinduism essentially believes that there is one divine principle, which is manifested into different forms of gods and goddesses with different attributes. So there is one divine principle, which is manifested in different gods and goddesses with different forms and different attributes. And on the top, we have this tribe, Brahma, who we consider as the creator of this entire creation. We have Vishnu, who we consider as the preserver of this creation, and Shiva, who is thought that he is the destroyer of the creation. Because unless things are destroyed, it cannot be recreated. You see, it's a circle. And on the other hand, we have Shakti, the divine feminine energy. And subservient to this, we have this gods, the devas, the gods and demigods, who control the various primary forces of nature. Like Indra, who is the ruler of heaven, Devlok, where the gods reside. and he is in control of thunder and lightning. Then we have fire god, wind god, blah, blah, blah. Diametrically opposite to the devas, we have the asuras, the demons or demonesses. As you understand, they are powerful, they are skilled, but they are full of vices too. And in between this devas and asuras, we have humans. We have some virtues of devas and some vices of asuras. But few of these human beings in the ancient ages, through their yogic power, their super knowledge, they attain the divine power. They are called sages, and we get to see many sages and get to know about them in our mythology. Well, with this, let me get into the story. Once Indra, the king of Devlok, he was enjoying his elephant ride, and sage Durvasa was passing by. Well, sage Durvasa, though he was a visionary, but he had the vice, I tell you, of anger. So he was passing by, and he had with him a garland, a beautiful garland of fragrant flowers, and he offered that to Indra. Indra indifferently accepted it and put it round the neck of the elephant. Sniffing that beautiful fragrance, the bee started buzzing and coming near to the elephant. The elephant got irritated and he just took off the flower garland and flung it away. This enraged the sage Durvasa. He was infuriated and immediately he cursed. You, Indra, you have disrespected my offering, so your entire Devlok will be bereft of power, of energy, of anything that is auspicious. So the Devas became weak. And as the Devas became weak, the other force, their arch rival, the Asuras, became powerful. They started overpowering upon Devas. And whenever this balance between good and evil gets disturbed, it is the responsibility of Vishnu, the preserver, to restore the balance. So the Devas went to the Vishnu, and Vishnu suggested, well, you can regain the lost power and your glory only if you can have the Amrit, the divine nectar, which is hidden right beneath the milky ocean. But, yes, like in every story, there is a but. Here also there is a but. But the ocean needs to be churned to get the divine nectar. Now, churning an ocean is a mammoth task, which the Devas who had fallen weak by now wouldn't be able to do. So again, Vishnu, the preserver, used a strategy, and he approached the Asuras, the demons, with a proposal. He said that if you help us, we can give you some nectar. And these Asuras were always hankering for immortality, you know. So they readily agreed. Now they needed a rod to churn. So mountain Mandara was brought and placed on the ocean. You need a churning rope. The snake god Nagraj, Vasuki, was used as a churning rope. And thus the Devas and Asuras, they started churning. But then still the mountain started sinking, it was wobbly. So once again, Vishnu, the preserver, transformed himself into a gigantic turtle and supported that entire mountain on his back. He went underneath and supported the mountain. And then the churning happened. It churned, and out of this chaos, yes, it turned into a chaotic condition. And out of this chaos, slowly, so many things started emerging up. And like in every creation myth, here too we see that things that emerged were essentially opposite in nature. So on one hand, we had Lakshmi, who is the goddess of fortune. On the other hand came Alakshmi. You know, if the Alakshmi comes to your house will be bereft of fortune. So on the one hand, there was this wish-fulfilling tree. On the other, the tree which could produce alcohol. So like this, so many things which are opposite in nature evolved. And finally came the Amrit, the pot full of divine nectar. But then it didn't come out alone. Along with it came Hala Hala, the poison. So the poison needed to be managed. It cannot be disposed of. So Shiva, the destroyer, he consumed that poison and kept it in his snake. Shakti held his snake and the poison was stored in his neck. That's why he is called Neelakantha, that means blue neck god. And then, of course, again, Vishnu had to play his role. He transformed himself into a voluptuous, a woman with all factor called Mohini. And these Asuras had the lust also. So he somehow distracted the Asuras, the demons, and started dividing the nectar. So first he gave this to the gods. And then when the turn came for the Asuras, there wasn't anything left. Meanwhile, one Asura somehow managed to sneak in the disguise, but Vishnu could see that. And he used his discus, cut out his neck. So he is called Rahu Ketu. The head became Rahu, the body became Ketu. That's a different story for a different time. Anyways, so that's how the god regained their power and glory. And once they became powerful, they fought against the Asuras and the balance and defeated them, and thus the balance was restored. Now, this is the story. For me, the story is rich in metaphors. For me, this ocean, the Milky Ocean, represents our life, our mind, and this conflicting emotions of divine and demonic forces are the conflicting emotions, conflicting situations that we often have to face. And mind you, listeners, it's not tug of war that one wins and one loses. It's a churning wherein we have to admit the existence of both, and the both have to cooperate together. Then only some nectar, some amrit, the positive outcome would come. But with that positive outcome, there could be some negative byproduct as well, some pollutant, which needs to be managed. So that was my connect. Now, I would humbly request you to reflect upon these stories and to introspect, just to go back on your personal journey and bring out one or two episodes where you face a churning of conflicting emotions, and what strength have you received? What clarity had come out of this chaos? What out of this chaos, ordering of cosmos takes place. So what happened in your case? If you could share with us and enlighten us with your thoughts. We are there to hear you. It will really enrich us. We are giving you some 5 to 6 minutes time You know that it takes some time, to reflect on your life's journey, to recount that. So you have with you 5 minutes.
And if you have a paper and pen or
Yes.
pencil, you can write for yourself, or you can write notes on your computer. It might help to put it down. And now we'll stop recording for a while during this thinking period and sharing period. I'm putting the recording on pause.
Various other creation myths of other culture, as in Chinese mythology, we get to see yin and yang. And in various creation myths of other cultures also, we see this two oppositional forces, say day and night, sky and earth, masculine and feminine principles. So, essentially we recognize the presence of these contradictions. That's the beauty of this creation myths.
If I may share something, Debjani, at least
Yes.
I feel that there is actually not a contradiction. It's not an opposite. It's just a continuation of the other. Like day is a continuation of night, woman is a continuation of man. So there is really no opposites at all. It's just that coming together and working together is what makes this world a better place. I think that is the essence of any culture. That is the essence, but the human beings have forgotten it.
Yes, well, we will have another session for that. Okay, so yeah, Lavanya?
So,
yes.
Great. Thank you, Debjani, for doing this. And I hope that the first story brought in the churning process that happens in everybody, every one of us, like many of you said, Renu and other people said, how it is an everyday thing that happens in our lives and it just needs to be managed. So we wanted to bring in that thought first, take you to that moment where you realize that there is a churning happening inside you, and then bring to the second part of this workshop. Well, I'm so glad that you all were giving in all your inputs and thoughts in this. From where the churning happens. Without the churning, there is no clarity, right? Right. Which is why we have picked the second story from one of the greatest epics in Indian literature, the Mahabharata. Now, I want to give you a very small introduction to Mahabharata for people who I think have not heard of it or don't know what exactly the story is. The Mahabharata is basically a fight for an empire between two cousins, two group of cousins, I should say. So they are the Kauravas and the Pandavas. Don't be overwhelmed by the words and the names that you hear, because the Mahabharata has many characters. We have tried to bring in and tell you, for people who are not familiar with it, in a simpler and an easier way. So it is a fight between an empire between the two cousins. The Kauravas are 100 in number and the Pandavas are 5 in number. So among the Pandavas, there is one person called the Arjuna, who in the entire Mahabharata keeps going through lots of churnings inside his mind. And every time there is a churning that is happening, there is the Supreme coming to his rescue and trying to give him some clarity. So for us Indians, the Mahabharata is something that has a connection to the human self at every point of time in our lives. So it is full of metaphors, and especially the stories inside the Mahabharata is something that all of us can relate to from any point of time in our lives. So, which is why to us the Mahabharata is the have it all. So, the story that I have picked for you today is about Arjuna, the person that I told you, who has so many confusions inside his mind all the time. So apparently, what happens is one group of cousins, the Kauravas, deny the empire to the Pandavas. And so there is a war that is going to happen, a very, very big war. And the Pandavas, the main person in the Pandavas is Arjuna, who's supposed to be a great archer. And now, inside his mind, there is a confusion. How will he fight his own cousins? Is it dharma? Is it righteousness? And on the other side of the cousins are his guru, his grandfather. How can he fight all them? But then he decides to, that he will have to do it for the sake of a righteousness being upheld. Now, it was not an easy job to fight that. He needs to have special powers. And so he goes and he does meditations and he's trying to get the most powerful weapons, and he's in the process of doing that. Now, this story that I'm going to share has a lead to that. So open your ears and your eyes and your mind and listen carefully. There was a king. His name was Shvetaki. And now this king had a very, very unique thought inside his mind. He wanted his soul to attain heavens no matter what. Whatever happens, that is my ultimate goal. And I will do anything to make that happen. And now he obviously went to his teachers, the rishis and the munis and the acharyas, who advised him to do a yajna or a sacrifice to please the fire god, the Agni, we call it. They said if you're going to pour ghee or clarified butter into the sacrificial fire, then the fire god will be very pleased and he will grant you your wish of your soul going straight to the heavens. And to him, nothing else mattered. But there was a clause. Somebody told him that he will have to do this for 12 continuous years. He did that. He was a man of determination. So he sat there, and for 12 continuous years, he was pouring the ghee in the sacrificial fire. And I should tell you something about Agni, the fire god. He was someone who considered himself to be, the most important person among all the other gods in the heavens. Why? Because people will have to come to him, they will have to appease him to get their boons, to get what they wanted. And so he considered himself somebody unique and powerful. Now, take that word inside your mind. Power comes to play. And so for 12 long years, he was pouring the ghee in the sacrificial fire, and Agni was taking it, taking everything of it with great greed. And after 12 years, he was very pleased. He looked at Shvetaki and he said, I grant your wishes. Don't you worry. When you die, your soul will just go straight into heavens. Well, the king was very happy, but Agni lost his luster. The brightness, the shine that he had was gone. Imagine somebody eating for 12 long years. What do you think will happen? The same thing happened to Agni. He lost his luster, he lost his shine, and all the devas, they just looked at him and said, Agni, you think you are more powerful? Where is your shine, huh? Anybody comes and tells us this, don't we feel a little insecure? That's exactly what happened to Agni too. He ran to the creator, Brahma, and he said, what do I do? Help me, help me, help me. Now, Brahma was also a person who was very, he thinks what is right and he tries to do that. He had another work to do. He was to destroy the demons and the poisonous beings that were troubling people in a forest, the Khandava forest. He thought this to be the right time to give Agni a job. He looked at him and he said, your greed for power has led you here. But there is one thing that I can tell you. If you could go and consume the beings, the bad beings that is residing in the Khandava forest, then your illness will be cured. Your luster will be back. Agni was delighted. He was delighted beyond belief. What else do I need? I'll get back my power. I will get back my luster. And so he went down to the Khandava forest. All he had to do is just blaze the forest. But then there was a problem. The beings in the forest, not only the beings, I should say the snakes, the poisonous snakes in the forest, the Takshaka and his family, they were guarded by Indra, the lord of the Devas. Even Agni will have to be under him. Now, Indra, I should tell you, is the god of rains, is the god of thunder and lightning. And so Agni thought, if I'm going to blaze this forest, the poisonous snake will call out to Indra, and Indra will send thunder and lightning and rains, and everything will just go. How will I get my luster back? How is it even going to be possible? Who will fight Indra? Who has the guts to fight Indra? He got an idea. His son, Indra's son. And who do you think that is? Our person who is always confused from the Pandavas, Arjuna. Arjuna was Indra's son. Every human being in this world has need. And to satisfy or fulfill that need, they would go to any extent. All Agni had to do was find what was Arjuna's need at that moment. And his need was to get powerful weapons to kill or fight his cousins in the opposite side. So Agni came down. He went straight to Arjuna and he said, "Look, Arjuna, I'm Agni, the god who grants wishes. I really want to help you, win this war with your cousins. So why don't you help me? Hmm? All I need is I will have to blaze this forest and eat the fat of the demons and the poisonous snakes. See, I'm trying to do good only, but I have a problem. Your father, Indra, will not let me do that. He will put the rains down and I won't get my luster back. So here is the deal. If you are promising to help me, then I will give you the most special bow. Gandiva it is called. You can use that to stop the rains that your dad is sending. At the same time, I give it to you until the war gets completed. You will be able to achieve what you wanted. What do you say?" Aha! Can there be a better opportunity than this? Arjuna agreed. But he had to not please his dad. That's okay. He can go later, say sorry, and come to terms with him. And so it was decided. The Gandiva was given to Arjuna. And with that, he stopped the rain that his father was sending. He made a bed of arrows, and the rain just couldn't escape. Agni blazed the entire forest to his heart's content. But he was greedy for more luster. He didn't stop when he had to. The animals in the forest, the poor animals in the forest, the ones which did not do any harm, were also getting burnt in the process. They all reached out to the supreme entity, Krishna. Help us, we don't deserve this, they said. And when Arjuna was guarding the forest with his Gandiva and his arrows, waiting to see if there was going to be anything that is coming his way, there was this being that just popped out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, he saw something that he had not seen in his entire life. He saw a very unique being that had the head of a cock, the neck of a peacock, the hump of a bull, the snake as the tail, the body of a lion, and the four legs. One was the leg of an elephant, one was the leg of a tiger, one was the leg of a deer, and the other was a human hand holding lotus. What on earth is this? where I have not seen anything like this before. It was called the Nava Gunjara. Nava is 9. And when this came, the first reaction of Arjuna was to take out his Gandiva, take out his arrow, and he was trying to kill it. But then he saw that there was this human hand that came out and gave him the lotus. Well, this doesn't seem to be something that is dangerous. Why will it otherwise give me a lotus? For a second, he thought over that, and he realized that this should be the will of the Supreme. He put his Gandiva down, he put his arrows down, and he completely surrendered to the will of what the Supreme was. And there, the story ends like this. He realizes that sometimes it is important to surrender to the will that is beyond us. Well, the blaze of the fire was stopped, and Arjuna went back with clarity, of course, with the Gandiva, and Agni got what he needed. Now, this story of Navagunjara is not present in the Vyasa's Mahabharata. Like you all know, there are many, many, many versions of Mahabharata. This one is present in the Sarala Das's Mahabharata from Orissa. Now, mythologists have argued that this version of the story could be, a totemic tale that has come from an Orissa tribe called as the Mandi tribe. Now, again, the story itself has got many, many versions. You know what is most beautiful about mythology? It is up to us to interpret. People keep interpreting the stories, trying to find out what it is. Well, some ecologists, the version that I shared with you today is what some ecologists have, come up with. But I wanted to bring this aspect of Navagunjara today as an extension to the confusion and clarity that happens inside our minds. When I first saw this Navagunjara, I saw it completely as something very, very symbolic. Now, you could use the chat function, all right? And let me know, what do you think? What comes to your mind? What attribute comes to your mind when you see the rooster? What do you think the rooster stands for? What comes to your mind when you think about the rooster? Please use the chat function. It'll be really nice if I could read out what you're going to say. To me, the rooster, yes, pride, okay. Some say pride. But what comes to your mind when you think of the rooster? When I first saw it, rooster is, what do I say? How do I say what is a rooster? Can somebody tell me what is a rooster?
Yeah, every morning it
crows.
makes
It's
a
the
sound.
Cock. That's right. Thank you, Debjani. So yes, it wakes us up. Great. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you for that. Stubborn, all right. Whatever it comes to your mind. And when you look at the neck of the peacock, what comes to your mind? The peacock which walks like this. The most beautiful bird. And it just puts its necks outside and it keeps walking. To me, it represents pride. The rooster wakes us up, okay? Maybe whatever comes to your mind. And when you look at the hump of the bull, majestic, thank you. When you look at the hump of the bull, what comes to your mind? Peacock neck, pride, thank you, Shri. The hump of the bull. To us, for me at least, when I look at the hump, it is Nandi, Shiva, thank you so much. Thank you, Sharada. Thank you for that. So for me, it is devotion. Devotion comes into place. And when you look at the body of the lion, what comes to your mind? So I'm just going to call out what is it, and you can type your chats. Ambal, okay, thank you. The body of the lion. You can type in. And then when you look at the legs, one is the leg of an elephant. What comes to your mind when you look at the leg of the elephant? Elephant leg balance. Thank you so much. Stability. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you for that word. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. And when you look at the leg of the tiger, what does the tiger's leg mean to you? Agility. Lovely. Thank you, Shri. And then the deer's leg. Speed, swiftness. And when you see the hand, human hand holding lotus, what comes to your mind? Compassion.
Compassion.
Lovely, lovely. Love, thank you. And the tail of the snake, peace, lovely. And the tail of the snake, danger, all right. Very interesting to see your perspectives. Be alert, very nice. See how different we all think, right? All of us have our own connections to whatever it is. Guardian, lovely. Very interesting. Fear, okay. Greed, all right. To me, I'll tell you what I thought. To me, a tail is all about balance. You know, if you see any animal, there is a tail. A monkey's jump is balanced by its long tail. So I saw the tail as something that is balanced. Now, I want to leave you here with this story. The Navagunjara, to me, is something which, when I look at it, tells me that it is power. I draw strength from this beautiful image, whoever created it, or whoever imagined it, or how this story came to being, I really don't know. But this image gives me power. And all these attributes are some things that I think will help me go through the churning process whenever I get into one. So now I request you all to write those attributes that you think will give you strength during any crisis. Okay. But now, if you're wondering, okay, where will I look for these attributes? That is where you will have to think about the stories that you have heard as a child. There would be a superwoman or somebody who had inspired you in a story, or it could be people from your family, you know, people who had inspired you from your family. You just look at them and, like, my God, this person, this attribute is something that I draw inspiration from. So people from your life, people you were surrounded with, the tales that you had heard, the, what do I say, the characters from the tales. It could be anything, folk tale, mythology, or even movies that you have seen and you have drawn inspiration. So I want you all to quickly, write it down. Just close your eyes. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes. Just close your eyes and write down these attributes. So let's not get interrupted in between. So I'm just going to put myself in mute. If anybody else is not on mute, please, I request you to put in mute. So take this time, 2 to 3 minutes, to just write those attributes. Go back to your childhood, go back to the people that have inspired you, go back to the ones that made you look up with amazement. Recall the movies, recall the songs that you have heard. Anything, it could be anything. And pick those words that you think will give you strength. And I will have to tell you all something. This strength that you are creating is not created for you by anybody else. You are creating your own strength now. This is your Navagunjara. You can name it anything else that you want to. I'd request you to pen it down, it'll be really interesting. Or if you have a laptop or a paper with you, it'll be nice if you could write it down in a piece of paper, because whatever is going to follow this is going to be even more very, very interesting. So I request you all to take it down, note it down in a piece of paper. Please do it.
Lavanya, we can't hear you.
Yeah, love your
Sorry,
mute.
I was on mute. I was on mute. So when you are ready, I request you to please put the raise hand function or the thumbs up function, so that we know that you have listed out the attributes that you want to. It's so amazing to see how focused you all are. So as you write these attributes for yourself, don't worry about the number, okay? It could be 10, it could be 2, it could be 9, it could be 8, anything, anything. If you have written these attributes, now I'm going to give you all a challenge. I want you to create a visual representation of these attributes. Don't worry, okay, this is not going to be a drawing competition. So even if you're going to do even stick figures, it's perfectly fine. Or if you even choose not to do a visual representation of your attributes, it's still okay. But if you really feel the josh or the energy to go ahead and make that step forward and create this beautiful image for your attribute, it'll be nice. It's all up to you. Try and see if you can do it. It could be anything, okay? It need not be only animals, it need not be only uh, reptiles, um, or birds or flower, anything. It could be even one single image that you're doing. So in 2 minutes I will be asking you all to share, so you can take 2 more minutes. Right? So who's going to be the first person who wants to show us something? If you feel the need to show, you can show it to us, or you could just you know uh, read it out or just show. It'll be nice if you could put your videos on. If you're ready, you could just raise your hand. I'll know that you're ready to tell us something. One important thing is, just don't worry as to what others would think, because This is your strength, which you are creating. Just like how, each person saw the tail as a different thing. So the attributes that you're going to create for yourself is absolutely yours. It belongs to you. So just don't feel the shyness to not share it.
Marina, did you raise your hand?
If you could spotlight her, please.
But Marina, you're very much in the dark.
Oh,
Is there any way you can to turn on a light a little bit?
Oh,
I'll
it's
just add spotlight.
it's so early in the morning, so I'm sitting in.
Okay, you could
Okay.
just share.
Everybody's
Go ahead. That's fine. Go ahead.
Everybody's sleeping, so I'm sitting in the corner.
Ah.
That's why. So anyway, I was starting to write down some people, like, and then I was putting some animals after them. So there were both. I have teachers, storytellers. That has been important for me. Storytelling teachers. So there was the parrot, but there is also the snake.
Lovely.
And then I have family friends that also were storytellers. And there were the bear. The bear is there. You say the bear. You know the bear. The big in the woods. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. And the hairy one. And then there's Aladdin. And he's a kind of a trickster because he goes down in the earth and finds the lamp and goes up again. So then I was thinking of the squirrel. And then we have the Swedish Pippi Longstrump, Pippi Longstrump, who does everything backwards. She's a very special girl with Astrid Lindgren. And she's the monkey. She's funny, she's strong, and she do some crazy things. And then there's the old wise woman that were used to be there listening to me. They were the owl, and so that was the owl. The fairy tales also stand for like the elf or a hummingbird. And then there was an elephant figure with big ears. There was a book called Dumbo. I don't know if you had it, but we had it here in Sweden. So it was very sweet and very kind, but they were, how you say, they were mean to him because he had so big ears. And but I loved this figure. He was very kind. So yeah, the elephant, of course. And then I also have the hen, that chicken hen, the hen, who is the caring mother, who will take care of her children. A little bit too much, but she's, I like her. And then somehow I had to put the eagle and the snake, because the snake is, the eagle is it's a powerful, and I know that the eagle has been in my life, just like the bear. It's the upward, how to see from up above. And the snake also, that we say the splitted tongue, but it's also, there is the balance, good and bad, and what you are talking about. The snake can be very wise and medical and good for our health, but it can also hit us. It can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marina.
Sorry for being in the dark, but I hope you hear my voice.
There's a lot of light that you have given us now. So just don't worry about that. Thank you so much. Anybody else who would like to unmute and share? Just don't shy away. Even if it is one, it's fine. Yes, Manjari, please unmute.
So I'll just show you. I've drawn this picture
Oh, so nice.
So it's a teacher giving a lotus. Sorry, my drawing is very bad.
Don't worry about it at all.
It's a teacher giving a lotus to a child,
Mhm.
and the what I thought of was it represents kindness, nobility, friendship, compassion, which are so important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to go? We can take one more person sharing and then we'll move on. Everybody's still contemplating. Lovely. One person, please. Anybody who would want to go? I mean, I'm not able to see. There are many people here. So if you could just unmute and speak. Nobody wants to go? Everybody's still having your Navagujras coming to shape.
I was just thinking of
Yes.
a deity with multiple hands, like our Durga or the Guan Yin in in Buddhist.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Buddhist world, we have Guan Yin, so holding different attributes. And I would like, I would like to see myself holding a pen, holding a rope to, to kind of control all negativity, and a level, because I think we all have to be very even keeled and level headed when we are confronted with challenges. So I was thinking of a level, the ones they use to get straight lines, literally. And and I think these would be, the attributes that I would hold, and they come from uh, the women that have inspired me by being, level headed and calm and collected, even when they are faced with challenges.
So lovely. Thank you, Rupa. Thank you for that. Thank you. So great. I know this is not something that you could do in 15 minutes, but this is just a trigger for you all to just look at what your attributes are, right? So thank you. Thank you for doing that. I now hand over the workshop to Gayatri. She will then tell you what you might have to do. Gayatri, please.
Can you just pin me?
Yes, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello everyone. I think you have created a power or a Shakti now. I just want you, for making it easy, draw a circle, and inside the circle, write all the attributes you have collected from different entities. Say if you have chosen an elephant, why you chose the elephant? You can write that attribute which you're getting attracted to. So we'll bring it to one single entity. Draw a circle, and inside that circle, write all the attributes you like. Or you can imagine, if you have created an image, you can think of that image and write all the attributes within that image. You have drawn some image, you can write the positive attributes of that image. Yeah, are you ready? We are going to do a small mental journey now, sensual journey. So are you ready? So for this, I just want you all to close your eyes and in your mind, bring that image which you have created. We are going to do a visualization exercise. Sit comfortably. Take few deep breaths. Now we are going to meet the Shakti or the power we have created. Now imagine yourself walking through a beautiful garden. This garden is full of fragrant flowers. Take a deep breath. Enjoy the fragrance. Now in the center of the garden is a hot air balloon which is waiting for you. Get into the balloon and sit yourself comfortably. The balloon is beginning to fly. Feel the cool breeze. You can see those clouds. Feel the warmth of the sun. Placed beside you is a basket of fruits. There are apples, mangoes, oranges, grapes. Eat any of those fruits and experience the sweetness. The balloon is flying higher and higher, and now it has come to its destination. You are slowly getting down from the balloon and walking. There in front of you is the image of Shakti you have created. You can suddenly feel the love and warmth that Shakti is giving you. It is as if this Shakti has been waiting for you for a very long time. You are slowly going towards that Shakti. And then you have a small conversation. You are telling the Shakti the challenges you have faced in the past few years. And those problems which you don't know how to solve. It is as if the Shakti is giving you a reply. This entity which you have created is giving the solution to all your problems, is giving you a lot of answers. It is filling you with power and a lot of love, that unconditional love. Feel the love and power. Now, you have answers to everything you wanted to get an answer for. You are promising the Shakti that you will come back whenever you have time. Slowly, you are walking back to your balloon, feeling empowered and positive. And now your balloon begins to descend. There is a smile in your face. Again, you experience the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the breeze. You are slowly descending. You enjoy the whiteness of the clouds. And now you reach the garden filled with fragrant flowers. Enjoy the fragrance. Now you're walking back to the place you have started. Come back to your destination and open your eyes. Now, I want all of you to write down a letter, not your letter to the Shakti, but what is the message that entity gave you? I want you to write the message you received from the Shakti, as if it's a letter from the entity to you. It starts with, dear, my dear, and you write down the message. Now I'll give you a few minutes when you can write down the message you received from that entity when you met that entity up above. You can take 2 minutes for writing the letter you have received from this entity. If anybody has finished and willing to share, you can share your letter, which you have received. You could unmute and speak if you are ready.
You know, I think I'll turn off the recording. So if people want to share, they can just do it without the recording.
Plural in nature. It is plural, it is not single. That is why we have the different attributes. But all we have to remember is that complete Navagunjara was nothing but one supreme entity. Just like how the spokes of the wheel connect to the center, or how the different branches of the tree take the same water from the root. Hinduism is plural, but the supreme entity is just one. And that is what we think the many gods in Hinduism tell us. Today, by exploring these many gods, we have given to you, or no, you have created your own Shakti. And we hope that Shakti will help you reach to your supreme entity, whoever or whatever it is. Thank you so much for being a lovely, lovely audience. Debjani?
Yes, that was our humble attempt to share our thoughts about Hinduism, presenting it, the pluralism of Hinduism, that Hinduism believes in pluralism, in democracy of gods, democracy in spirituality. So we tried in our very, very, what would you say, small way to share our thoughts, our understanding before you. And thank you for sharing this space with us, making it so warm, so nice, so enjoyable. So we enjoyed presenting our thoughts before you. Hope you enjoyed too. It was our delight. Now, if it's up to you, if one or two of you can share your thoughts about our offering.
Would love to jump in here. Like I said earlier, Debjani, you three Devis did a wonderful job. So hearty congratulations to you bringing in that very essence of Hinduism together and enlightening not just people from not from our culture, but within our culture itself. So thank you very much. It wasn't a humble effort. I think a lot of work went behind it. So thank you very, very much to the three of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hello, I want to say thank you for a wonderful workshop. What a wonderful work you have been doing, and what a great hymn to this, to the man who is no more. I'm so happy to have been listening to this. That has deepened my understanding for the gods and goddesses in the Hindu mythology that I try to learn more about. And I have so many thoughts in me, and I'm so happy that I took the time to wake up early this morning to be with you. Bless you all. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lavanya and Debjani and Gayatri. This was really a wonderful workshop and a wonderful memory of Pandya Rajan. We do have to stop for the next storyteller, but Lavanya Srinivas, I see you want to say something. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's a wonderful feeling, and we'll fail in our duty if we do not remember our dear storyteller, Pandya Rajan. It's a very nice thought of you. And I'll quickly, because it brings many more memories that and conversations that we used to have about these concepts. And Debjani, as usual, your story was so powerful. And it is about the metaphor about the different emotions in us. And Lavanya Prasad, your this thing, Navagunjara, stands actually in Odia. Gunjara means it is the nourishment or nurturing that is required, in difficult times. So I think during the pandemic, especially, each one of us, whether Hindus, whichever the thing we belong to, we all of us need that. So it's a metaphor for that. I connected so beautifully with that. And Gayatri, the Omkara, brings the two together, the Debjani's concept of the conflict that is within us all the time, and then the strength that is within us, the Navagunjara. Nava is the new. So in new normal, you need new, nourishment. And together, where does it take us? And what is the center of our living? What is the meaning? Is the Bindu. Yeah, Gayatri with the Omkaram and the Bindu that Hinduism speaks about in the center is the center point of our lives. So congratulations for putting it all so beautifully together. And as a student of narrative therapy, it reminds me of Johari window that, we look at and try to for self-knowledge and dealing with our own selves, understanding ourselves in the first place. So thank you once again to each one of you, a wonderful workshop.
Thank you
And
so
it
much.
gave a wonderful feeling and immersive feeling in it. Thank you.
Okay.